PCR methods, or also testing the toxin, because it's also AB toxin. Okay, just want to let you know. Now, one of them I forgot to mention about when we talk about the Clostridium botulism. Botulism, the toxin, is actually have A, B, C, D, E, F. But B usually specific for canned fish for the botulism toxin. Okay, because it's a big market. The canned fish, the toxin is usually a type B. Okay, now let's talk about something else. So we finished talking about this Clostridium. We're gonna move on to, see, this is how we're gonna do the prevention. Okay. This is a list for all the foodborne, waterborne infection. This is another class, which is food microbiology. I supposed to be teach, but I never get a chance to teach. This all the pathogen is foodborne pathogen. So first of all, you have a Salmonella typhimurium. This is a well-called salmonellosis. Its source of infection is poultry, egg, and animals. We will talk about the special poultry safety processing related to Staphylococcus typhimurium. Salmonella typhi, typhoid fever, water and the food. Vibrio chloride, that's called chloride, water, food. Shigella. Shigella we also call Shigella toxin, same as E. coli 0157H7, but mostly happened is in the daycare. The daycare, you have a baby there. Oh, they're coming everywhere. Then they they go poop and the pee, and then they touch the foods and they eat it. Called Shigella. Campylobacter jejuni. This is the one same as Staphylococcus aureus. Same as Salmonella is the number 2 pathogen in the poultry products. We will talk about that. It's very special microallophilic. It's very difficult to grow in the lab, but it's a major pathogen control. Very ironic. E. coli. Here we are talking about the traveler diarrhea. Could be undercooked vegetable salads and water. Yersinia. Yersinia, there is a major resource is milk, especially like raw milk. So there is a debate about whether we should eat or drink raw milk. I think in West Virginia there is a law approved that you can use raw milk, which means unpasteurized milk. But Yersinia there is existing in one special product, which is pig chitlins. That is pig intestine. Is dominant with Yersinia. You don't eat pork or pig chitlins. I sometimes eat it. If you go Pittsburgh, go Forbes Avenue or the Chinese restaurant, you can get one dish with pork chitlins. Well, it's well cooked. You don't eat it because in the United States, the pork chitling is a byproduct, usually to make a casing for the food processing. But I just want to let you know, Yersinia widely existing in the pork chitlins. Okay, Listeria monocytogenes, we'll mention about that later on. Vibrio, we have another slide to talk about that. Its target food products is shellfish. Clostridium perfringens difficile, we already mentioned. Okay, so just want to briefly go over this whole table. We could talk about each pathogen a single class. That could be a half semester material, talk about food and microbiology. Just want to let you know. Okay, next one. Little bit knowledge about the plague in the teeth. So basically, if you talk to a dentist, they will tell you cause oral cavity problem for the teeth issue. Basically, there are 2. Number 1 is genetics. We can avoid all that. If your mom's teeth is not good, you're probably not going to have good teeth. That's genetics. Second is diets. So how you eat it? Let's say I'm originally from China, we eat a lot of the rice. All the people from Asian countries eat noodles and the rice. That's a huge amount of the sugar. So what happened? If you have a sugar, let's say you have a glucose, dextrose, or sucrose, if you don't do a good job of the cleaning of the teeth, then what happened? On the teeth surface, they will accumulate there. Then at the end of the day, a couple of months later, they become a biofilm. And then your oral cavity, not much oxygen. So it's almost anaerobic to microallophilic environments. Then what happened during that environment? Will become, the sucrose or glucose will go through fermentation, then generate acid, for example, lactic acid. So acid generated through the fermentation, they will cause the decay of the teeth. Because the teeth is composed by a chemical called enamel. The enamel could be demineralized, then leading to the tooth decay. So why will it cause tooth decay? Very simple. You didn't do a good job of cleaning the teeth. The bacteria goes there. The reason why, because you eat something, more or less have some sugar. Then the sugar be there, bacteria survived, going through fermentation process, generate acid, and the acid causes decay of the teeth. We call it demineralization of an animal. Okay? So that's called tooth decay. Very briefly, we go over it. Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a comma-shaped gram-negative bacteria. What happened? Where it goes? They go seafoods. They go deep marine ocean area. And typically the shellfish are natural reservoirs. And then they will adhere to intestinal musclecomia to cause a toxication problem. If you have a chlorophyll happens, what the first symptoms? Is dehydration. It's not like nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. You have a dehydration with water diarrhea in less than 30 minutes or an hour. What happened? You will lose about 10 liters of water. So lose water basically means you are going to die. That's very simple. So what we have to do? For chlorophyll, we have to do 2 treatments. Number 1 is rehydration, which means you put water back before you do antibiotics. Now, why they will cause you losing a bunch of water all of a sudden? This tells you something. So in the lumen area, we basically is keep the balance. We call it the osmotic balance because of the sodium ions. And if you eat jellyfish, shellfish, or whatever the seafood products, if they contaminated with viral chlorophyll, what happened? There the enterotoxin will generate. And they will be activate adenine cyclase. This is, I tell all the people. We'll get to this later. This is really good. Because ATP is an energy currency. This is also fine because it's a reversible reaction. What is really bad? If this guy circled becomes CAMP, every bad thing could happen. It seems like the energy currency is locked in the pocket. You cannot use it. So let's say your coffee, you have some mucus come out, have the sputum comes out. This is all related to in your upper respiratory tract, the cilia, which is instead of generate ATP, they become CAMP. And they need an enzyme, which is called cyclase. So always remember, the simplest mechanism cause lots of the problem in the medical area is ATP cyclic becomes CAMP. Here happens one of the examples. Once you have this high amount of the CAMP, they block uptake of the sodium ions. Then what happens? more water gonna be drawing into the lumen area. Excessive water will cause diarrhea. So the water is supposed to be in your bloodstream or in your tissue, they all extracted into the lumen and cause diarrhea. So that's the reason. So be careful when you eat a raw seafoods, including like shrimp. So what's way to do is we'll cook it. Now sometimes people put like a couple of drops of the lemon juice. That is also protected because the lemon juice have acid. That could more or less to decrease the level of those foodborne pathogens. But you always remember, this is intoxication. Now sometimes you eat a seafoods. Let's say the holiday, July 4th. I know that July 4th you see a fireworks and then you have a bunch of the fish, you cook it, undercooked, they eat it. Second day you have a diarrhea. That's more or less related to that, but it's not a chloral. It's some of the other toxin from the seafoods. But the principle is the same, just is not that severe. Okay? All right, so that's all I have today. Like I remind you again, this one, all the material, what I talk about, the Clostridium, is at this fact sheet 3. You can see all of these is my class material and try to go over the case study. And you only need to read it through, you don't have to remember that. That's the key thing. And it's good for you. Okay?